Welcome back to another UNC Tar Heels football recruiting podcast here on TarHeelIllustrated.com. And if you're watching us on our YouTube channel, that is called Tar Heel Illustrated. I'm THI publisher Andrew Jones, and joining me is our director of football recruiting, Miss Deana King. And Deana, we're here to discuss Ty Adams, a two-star athlete from the class of 2023. He attends Swainsboro High School in Swainsboro, Georgia, 5'11", 173 pounds. He has flipped his commitment from East Carolina to North Carolina. And before you dive in and start discussing Ty Adams and how this happened, quick reminder, everybody, for just $8.33 a month, you can be a Tar Heel insider too. Go to TarHeelIllustrated.com, sign up. It's just $8.33 a month, and you would have known a lot about Ty Adams for the last couple of months and known this has been trending in this direction because Miss King has been all over it. So, Deana, your thoughts on Ty Adams finally doing something that you projected a couple of months ago would happen?
Yeah, the staff, they missed out on some of their defensive back targets. And so they, I guess, hit the reset button and started looking at some other kids. And one of those kids was Ty Adams that you mentioned that was committed to East Carolina. He's from a smaller school in Georgia. He plays quarterback as well as DB for his high school team. Most time the best player is your quarterback, and he's having a really great year for his team. A lot of folks might be concerned with the rankings. This is a kid. This staff, they don't concern themselves with rankings and stars. They trust their own evaluations. Coach Bly targeted Ty. And, when I reached out when he got the offer back in August, he wasn't very shy about, talking about the offer, was very excited. A Georgia kid, a lot of Georgia kids, they look at North Carolina and think of that school as a possible destination, and he did as well. He said it was one of the schools he was wanting to hear from. Of course, early in his recruitment, he hadn't, but that didn't change the fact that he immediately told me that he was coming to visit at opening day against Florida A&M. So, and he said it's kind of funny. He told me that when I asked him about Dre Bly, he said he didn't really know who Dre Bly was, and he had to Google, and then he found out, oh my gosh, this guy has reached out to me and targeted me and everything. So that relationship has really blossomed. Dre even went down and saw him play during the open week and everything to build that relationship, and took his official visit for Notre Dame and 2 visits to North Carolina. The writing kind of was on the wall. Yeah. He was a lot of times I can tell when interviewing these kids, they're what they're thinking about the schools, and everything was just, all of his answers were really positive and, excited, and so it didn't take long for him to switch that commitment. He's 2 trips to North Carolina, the opening day, which, we were all there. It was a really nice opening win for North Carolina, good crowd, and then getting to see the crowd for a brand name Notre Dame, that basically kind of sealed the deal.
Yeah, the star rating is going to have some people concerned, but let me remind people of something. There are 3 former North Carolina players that are captains on their NFL teams currently right now. 2 of them were walk-ons. Cole Holcomb was a walk-on, Mack Hollins was a walk-on, and they're both captains of their NFL teams. So the ratings ultimately don't really matter. They matter to a degree, but they ultimately don't matter. He did commit to East Carolina on June 19th. So it was about 6 weeks later when North Carolina reached out to him, and that started to change things. He is the 5th member of the 5th native of the Peach State, Georgia. to commit to Carolina in this class. He is the 19th member of the class. And Deana, he's listed as an athlete because there's a lot of things he can do, but they're recruiting him as a corner. When you watch his film, what are some of the things that just kind of jump out at you about him?
Athleticism, he's quick. He's got a lot of good speed, and that's a lot what you want your cornerbacks to have. Sometimes if they do get beat, they can have that makeup speed. Just a good all around football player, and let's face it, some of these kids that are lesser. I call it lesser recruited, meaning the Alabamas and the Georgias of the world are not recruited. They seem like they might be the type of kid that is level-headed and willing to learn and get coached up. So I see this as a good pickup. I mean, you mentioned fifth player from Georgia. Georgia's a place where North Carolina wants to do well in recruiting. It's right there in that recruiting footprint. And, you take a chance on a kid. Look what Javonte Williams, you mentioned the three kids. He's the other one, didn't have any stars until he blew up in the playoffs and the state championship. And then he got a 2-star rating because North Carolina and Coach Fedora offered him and everything. And he's doing really well for the Broncos in the NFL. So it's that diamond in the rough that, this staff, they feel like they have one in Ty Adams.
Yeah. And Cole Holcomb told me one time that he was totally driven by the idea that he was overlooked and he wasn't respected and he had a chip. And he came in as a safety, just like Jeff Schottmer was also a walk-on, came as a safety, ended up, their leading tacklers for 6 straight years were basically walk-on linebackers who came in as safety. So you just don't know what you're getting. I think that's why trusting what these guys, this coaching staff, trusting what they see. Mack knows what the hell he's looking at. Been looking at it for a long time, and he's had mega recruiting classes at North Carolina, then Texas, and back in North Carolina again. So I think fans need to not really worry too much about that. Ty Adams is the 19th member of the class of 2023 to commit to North Carolina, previously committed to East Carolina. He is a 2-star safety out of Swainsboro, Georgia. 5'11", 173 pounds. He is the newest member of the class of 2023. Any final thoughts, Deana?
Just they're at 19. They could add a few more. They had a huge recruiting weekend for the Notre Dame game. They're getting really started on the class of 24 and 25. So they had a lot of kids in for that. And, it looks like the 23 class is going to be a solid class. Of course, they got a few more targets and they got plenty of more home games to get some of those guys in that they're trying to commit to UNC. So, it's just recruiting is a long process, and a lot of fans they want to know why certain kids don't. Kids got so many selections, and everything. They can't come to North Carolina every week. They want to branch out, and it's good for kids to branch out and see other places.
2 home games in October, 2 home games in November, and they will. And one of the November, the last game is the day after Thanksgiving. That's always interesting to see how many kids show up then, especially ones that are still in high school playoffs. So, but it will be interesting to see who else they bring in. They do have 19 in the class of 23. We think they're going to go a couple more, and they're going to leave some spots open for possible portal kids as well. She is Deana. I'm AJ. We appreciate you stopping by.